Hi guys, Neil at Italia Autos here. Welcome back to another video on my channel. Behind me I have a car that a lot of you have been asking for a video on in ages, and it's an Alfa 166. So this is just going to be a how's it holding up video, as you can probably see in the title. This is a 2004 facelift 166 with the 2-litre twin spark engine. It's only done 67,000 miles and it does look very tidy indeed. So let's give it a quick walk around. As you can see, I've just pulled it in out of the rain, so it is going to be wet. Alloy wheel is in good condition. I'll check the tyres when it's on the ramp. It's still got the Lusso badge down at the bottom. The side skirts are still fitting very well indeed, because normally they've seen the wrong side of a ramp and the clips come off. Rear wheel is fine. Is it me, or is that fuel cap a different colour? It could just be me, as it's plastic and the rest metal. It could just be a discolorisation. Rear parking sensors, which is was that even an option back then? They may have been added aftermarket, but we'll see on the inside what it gives us, whether it gives us a beep or we've got a little screen or something. Rear lights have not gone misty, so this car has been kept out of the sun. Yeah, bodywork is immaculate on this. Can't even find a little scratch on it. Alloy wheel fine, no marks on the bumpers. Again, the sill is sitting fine down there. Is that a little bit of rust coming through there that's been touched up or something where some stone chips were? Cracked indicator lens, which is a shame, because I bet they're not easy to find. Alloy wheels fine. All the bodywork lines seem to be in a decent position. No missing grille parts, no broken grills, fog lights aren't broken. So guys, so far, thumbs up. This isn't actually a bad looking 166, so let's go and have a look on the inside now and see if everything works, and I'll tell you a few of the common problems I've seen over the years. So let's start with what I've seen over the years, which is a regular problem. It doesn't mean every one of them is going to have this problem, but this is just what I've seen, and if you're looking to buy one, have a look out for this. These end pieces can go missing. You will always get wear on here, but this can be fixed. If you just Google that, you can get rid of that. The rings for the speaker covers can sometimes snap when removing them, and also the material for the speaker is also starting to fray there, and that's a very common problem. Heated seat switch buttons can sometimes stick in and stop working because they just wear out or they burn out, but they are readily available because they were the same switches fitted in an Alfa 147 and GT. You can sometimes find problems with the motors on the seats, but I haven't come across that very often, so I wouldn't really worry about that. Seat bolster wear is normally quite minimalistic on these because they are such good quality leather. I do find it weird looking at a 166 steering wheel with no steering wheel controls. Never had them, but it always just seems weird to me. It always just seems very, very large. As you can see, it's only done 67,000 miles. The interior is still pretty much like new. I can't really fault much of the wear other than a little bit of scratching on some of the panels. Now, the biggest problem with 166s is the stereos, because everything is all built into one. You've got the controls for the stereo, you've got the controls for the heater, and everything else for the phone on there if you've got the phone in there. And these things are getting 20 years old now, and they don't like to be that reliable. That is the biggest problem with these, and finding a used working one is very hard to get, especially with the code. Now, the codes were very hard to get. I don't know whether they still are, because I haven't tried to get one in a few years, but you used to have the reg, the chassis number, the numbers off the stereo, go to the dealer, they will then speak to Italy, and then several months later it'll come back with the code. So if you do need to buy one of these cars, make sure you have the code to go with this, because every time you disconnect the battery, you've got to enter the code. You do suffer with some wear on these things. Now, mainly it's the fascia. Lots of touching on the high mileage cars can wear a bit away, especially around the buttons and the dials. Some of the ink on the buttons can wear off, but other than that, I would like to say they're a fairly reliable unit, but from what I remember, they're not that great. Let's turn it on. Better turn the volume down before I get a strike. We have got sat-nav in it. There is a big massive CD changer in the boot which holds all the gubbins for the maps. So you also need to make sure you've got the map CD that comes with it as well. As I said, this unit is 20 years old now, so it will take a while to get going. But you can hear the CD in the back spinning up, so it shouldn't hopefully be too much longer. But while we wait for that to load up, you can see on the dials we've got no warning lights. Everything's working as it should. Power steering is nice and light and not too noisy. And that's still waiting to load up, so let's leave it now and I'm going to go and check the rest of the car out and we'll come back to it and see how long it's taken. So the rear seats are probably one of the comfiest seats you can sit in. They're just massive armchairs, really softly padded and extremely comfortable leather. So to be a passenger in a 166 is lovely. Doesn't look like the sat-nav's working. There might not be a disc in there or something, so we'll check that out and see what's going on with that. Now into the boots. As you can see, they are absolutely huge. You can get whatever you want in the back of there. Small child, large adult, golf clubs, everything you could possibly imagine could go in there. Even maybe a second home you could fit in the back of there. It's that big. Customer has reported a problem with the boot lid itself not closing. So I think that is just a case of adjusting the lock. I think the lock's probably quite low. Just take these two grommets out, two 10mm screws, lift it up a bit and that should hopefully cure it. Worst case is the lock here isn't locking properly. Under the bonnet, the one thing I do like about the 166s is you've got a ton of room to work on it. Even on the V6 engines, you can get in and do the cam belt really easily indeed. The only issue with these, especially the V6, is if you need to take the engine out, you need to drop it with the subframe because they're all connected together. So you're probably better off stripping everything out the top and pulling the twin spark out of the top if you ever need to take the engine out. All the trim pieces around the engine bay are all present and still look quite bright actually. Lovely clean coolant. That's probably a little bit too strong and that looks like it's almost neat coolant in there. Let's see how the oil's doing, and I can't turn it open because I had my jab yesterday and my arm is killing me. Oil seems pretty clean. Power steering fluid is clean as well. And brake fluid reservoir. Oh, use the other arm. Yeah, anybody else had the Pfizer jab and struggle with a lot of hurty arm after about 12 hours of having the injection? I could barely sleep last night, it was that much of a pain. Brake fluid looks okay. It looks as though it could do with changing relatively soon. It doesn't look too dark. I can test that if needed. Problems you see with the engine. Oil leaks are mainly the normal culprit, from the rocker cover gasket seals, from the gearbox seal, from some of the seals in the side of the cam belt here. Everything is here on this engine and it's all looking very tidy indeed. One of the other problems you can get is this hose splitting, which it has split there, look, so the customer needs to be advised of that. They just go brittle as they go older, and I'm not sure whether you can actually use one off a different car for this engine because the airbox setup's all different. So it's not going to be driving too well, sucking the air in from the wrong places. So interior perfect, apart from the sat-nav being a little bit misbehaving. The problem we found in the engine bay, doesn't look like there's any oil leaks, which is nice. It's just the throttle body pipe which is leaking, so we need to tell the customer about that. So other than that, engine's all great to go. Let's get it on the ramp, check out the suspension and the underside. Right, let's start looking at the steering and suspension now, what I can test out. The spring's looking fairly good, rust-free condition. The top mounts are very similar setup to the Alfa 147 GT 156, so they're quite easy to replace if needed. It's got Goodyear Eagle F1 tyres fitted all the way around, and they all appear to be approaching the tread wear marker, but we've still got a little bit of life left in them yet. Can't actually really see much of this suspension here, so we'll get it up in the air. And the rear tyre and suspension, the rear tyre again, yeah, there's plenty of tread left on that. A little bit of rust coming through on the shocker there, but these aren't that renowned for collapsing like on the other cars. Again, plenty of tread on that tyre, and yeah, more rusty suspension there. I'd probably advise those to be changed, to be honest. A little bit of rust coming through down there. Brakes look okay from what I can tell, but I will check them more from underneath. And the final corner, everything again looks okay. Tyre tread wear. Yeah, we're going to want some tyres soon enough anyway. So other than a little bit of age-related rust and worn tyres, it's not really that bad, to be honest. So let's get it up and check the rest of it. Right, let's start at the back then. Let's start with the exhaust box because it looks rather rusty. Oh dear, yeah, around that side it's not going to be long until that needs changing. On the side we do have some rust, unfortunately, on the bumper mounting points. Boot floor a bit there. That side's actually okay. Rear subframe is aluminium, so you don't suffer with rust there. So the rear suspension looks okay. It's all a sort of a multi-link suspension, so that should all be okay. Hopefully, they are quite a soft setup, so I will test all this off camera. Let's check the floor now. Very good condition indeed. Not really a sign of rust at all. Oh, little tiny bit there, but that's nothing to worry about at all. Can't really see much underneath the engine because it's got under trays everywhere. Let's see what we can see. It does have an oil leak. If I can get my torch in there to see it as well as you. No. Yeah, you can just about see an oil leak there. And that's about all I can see, unfortunately. Wishbones, bushes, and everything looks okay. Again, I will test those off camera. Brakes, front brakes have got a little bit of pitting on them and rust. Another major issue I've seen over the years, especially now they're getting older, the front radiator support is rusting away. It's not on this one, it's perfectly fine, but they do rust away and they are very hard to get hold of. So yeah, it's not a bad car, to be honest. There's a couple of little rust areas at the back which I probably want sorting out, but nothing major in the slightest is wrong with this car at all. It's actually in fairly good condition and drives really nice. So if you have any questions on the 166 or anything else, let me know and I will try and comment below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next video.